Hey guys, my name is Matsimio, and today I'm excited to say that we finally got some information about what we can be expecting with the new operators that are coming to Rainbow Six Siege with this new DLC. Ubisoft released a short little teaser announcement giving us a brief description of what these operators are going to be all about, and the first operator that they describe is apparently going to have some sort of drone that will maintain a quarantine perimeter. If you're not aware, the entire theme of this DLC is essentially a zombie outbreak, and so it would make sense to have an operator that would assist in maintaining a quarantine. Now, this description could mean a lot of different things, but my initial reaction to it was, oh great, we're finally going to have an offensive operator that will be able to have some sort of gadget that will warn us of an enemy roamer. Right now, if you want to deal with someone that's trying to get the flank off on you, you pretty much have to designate someone to watch your flanks the entire time. Sometimes that just isn't feasible. And so how great would it be to set up a drone in the room that's kind of adjacent to you, and then when an enemy defender walks on by trying to get the flank off, it will warn everyone on your team and ping their exact location so that either you can take them out or at least prepare for them to try and get that flank off against you. That could be really powerful. Now, the weakness of this, of course, is that as soon as the defender gets spotted, they're probably going to take out that drone really quickly. Now you don't have that gadget anymore, but at least it gave you that initial warning. The other way that I feel like this description could be interpreted is that maybe the entire map is the quarantine. Instead of trying to lock people out of a specific room, maybe you're trying to ensure that no one gets outside of the map. When I think of a quarantine and I think of a camera that's trying to assist with that, I'm thinking of something that's going to spot anyone that's trying to get outside of said containment. I mean, that's what it's kind of designed for. You want to ensure that no one gets outside of that zone. And so maybe this new operator, if it is for the offensive team, will have some sort of flying drone that will notify everyone as soon as someone jumps outside of the map. You guys know that sometimes you'll fight against an enemy team where it just feels like they're always running outside. It's a valid tactic, but it can be very frustrating especially if you're a newer player and you don't know all of the runouts. And so this could be the very first time Ubisoft introduces a new operator to kind of combat that. Instead of giving them a 2-second window before they're notified, maybe if you have this operator on your team, it will be instantaneous, making it a lot harder for someone to get that sneaky runout on the offensive team. Now, the downsides of this operator is that while yes, at the beginning of a match, this might be very useful, but for the vast majority of the round, it's pretty much going to be useless. I mean, for the first 30 seconds when you're trying to get up towards the building, it's going to be really beneficial, but a vast majority of the match is inside the building. And so as soon as everyone's inside, this really isn't going to provide anything for your team. And so while it could be quite helpful, I'm not really sold on its usefulness in the long term. The final way I think this could be interpreted is that there was a leak a while back that described these very operators. Now, of course, this is a leak, so take it with a grain of salt. We don't have any official source here, but this very leak I feel like holds a bit of water because they got past operators correct, Zofia and Vigil, so they might be right on these guys as well. So according to this description, we don't know if it's an offensive or defensive operator. Echo does have a drone, so that's not out of the realm of possibility, but apparently this drone will have a one-time use pulse for wall hacks that will last for 10 seconds and will pulse every 2 seconds. Admittedly, it's a bit difficult to tell how useful this will be in reality. It sounds really cool on paper, but how is this going to work in an actual match? If this is a defensive operator, maybe you could put this on the objective as soon as the clock is running out, you activate it really quickly, and then for those brief 10 seconds, you know where they're going to be pushing from, even if it is through, walls. You have that information at your disposal. On the other side, though, if this is for the offensive team, if you want to figure out if anyone's inside of the room, you don't call them with Dokkaebi, you don't have to scan anyone's footprints, you just use your gadget really quickly, it pinpoints their exact location for that 10 seconds, and then you rush on in and hopefully take advantage of said information. That I feel like is going to be a lot more useful than that defensive team. All in all though, it's kind of hard to say. This sounds very similar to a lot of the other operators in the game. I mean, this sounds like Pulse. It kind of sounds like Valkyrie cameras who are just spotting people as they rush on in. It sounds kind of like what Dokkaebi's job is, sort of like what Jackal's job is. It seems like it's all these different ideas kind of compounded into one, and I'm really curious to see if this is really how it's going to function. As for our second operator, their special gadget is going to be self-dissolving nanobots, which all allies can benefit from. Now this just screams someone who's going to be able to buff up their teammates. Maybe this is going to be the first time we get an offensive doc so they can give out heals. That's a distinct possibility. Or it could be someone who gives out sort of like an adrenaline shot shot that boosts their teammates' attributes in some other way. If we look on over at the leak, that could be a distinct possibility. According to that information, this operator will have 2 charges. It will temporarily heal for 40, so very similar to Doc. It will reduce recoil and also give them a speed buff. That to me sounds terrifying, even if this is for offense or defense. If they're able to give this out to their teammates, kind of like Doc can, and that's what the description, leads us to believe, can you imagine an Ashe that's also now going faster, has a recoil reduction, and also now has 40 more HP? That sounds terrifying. Even if this is for the defensive team, imagine Ella now with those buffs, and also with a Doc on top of that. Like, if you overheal with Doc and then you overheal with this new operator, like, how in the world are you going to be able to survive a 4-speed Ella or Ashe, whatever it is, also who has less recoil? Like, that truly does sound terrifying. Now, the downsides of this guy, if this information is to be believed, is that I'm assuming that he is going to be situational and require a fair amount of game sense. Because you only get 2 of them, you're not able to toss this out to all of your teammates, and I'm also guessing that it doesn't last the entire match because that would be straight busted. You need to know when to pop this at the right moments. If it's too early or too late, it's not really going to help out your team. What I'm really curious about, though, is how are these operators going to be changing up the meta? Ubisoft has stated that every time they release a new DLC, they like to mix things up. They like to make the game feel fresh with these new operators and provide different playstyles. We had the trap meta these last couple of seasons to slow down the combat since everyone was playing really aggressive as Ashe, for example. Before that, we had Mira, which dramatically changed the way we approach certain objectives. Like, she had a gigantic impact on the game. What is their intention with these operators? If they're trying to bring back that more aggressive playstyle by giving someone a nano-dissolved boost to speed, I'm going to be a bit disappointed. I may not love the trap meta, but one thing I do like about it is that it slowed things down and made matches a bit more tactical. It's not about all just running around as fast as you can trying to get kills. It has kind of slowed down that gameplay a bit. But if their solution to that is to bring in someone that just goes faster or makes their teammates go faster, I don't necessarily know if that is what I want for Rainbow Six Siege. I was kind of hoping for someone that would be able to deal with those gadgets other than just, having a Twitch or an EMP. That was where I was thinking that they were going to go with it. I will admit, though, that if we do get someone that has a drone that can watch our back to deter roamers, that probably would shake up the meta. Roaming is really popular in Rainbow Six Siege, especially on the new tower map. It's pretty much impossible to watch your back at any given moments. And so to have someone that can deter them a bit more, I really do think would make games a bit more interesting. Roaming would still be viable, like you're still going to want to have roamers, but it's not going to be that easy flank against people because they will have that early warning sign. At the end of the day, though, this is all speculation, and so I'm just curious to see what they're going to be doing with these new operators, not just to bring in new gadgets, but also to change up the way that we play the game. The final thing that I think is worth mentioning is that Ubisoft also gave us a picture of these 2 new operators. Now, it's difficult to get a lot of information from this, but the one thing that everyone's talking about is that it looks like the guy in front is carrying what appears to be a Vector with a drum mag. If this is going to be Ella 2.0, I am going to be sorely disappointed. It seems like every single time a new DLC releases, they're always releasing these operators with high RPM. Last season, we got the SMG-12. Of course, there was Ella this season before that. It seems like Ubisoft really likes these high RPM weapons, and I don't know about you guys, but I find them to be really difficult for them to balance. High RPM weapons are the king in Rainbow Six Siege. That's the reason why the SMG-11, a secondary, is arguably one of the better weapons in the game because of that high RPM. And so if this truly is the Vector with a drum mag, that just sounds like it's going to be a nightmare to deal with. Now, thankfully, it doesn't look like he's going to be a 3-speed operator. I am just basing this off of the picture, but it seems like he's wearing a fair amount of armor, and so I'm hoping for like a 2-2 or hopefully even a 3 armored operator. We don't get a lot of those in the DLC. If that's the case, that would definitely limit his potential. Yes, having a high RPM and a large mag size would be really potent, but if he's not able to zip around the map at Mach 5 like an Ella, for example, that would make him a lot easier to deal with. All in all, though, I am really excited to see what's going to come with this DLC. This has definitely piqued my interest. There's a lot of ways that this could be interpreted, and so let me know what you guys think about these descriptions. Do you think I'm onto something, that we're going to get a drone that will act as a early warning sign for defending roamers? Do you think that we're finally going to get an offensive doc that can also buff his teammates in other capacities, or do you think it's going to be something entirely different? Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and until tomorrow, have a good one, and take it easy.